Hello, this is chess Endgames practice mode, which means I don't know exactly what it means. You just get random endgame problems according to your rating. My rating, am I going to tell you? Should I tell you? Okay, I'll tell you. It's 1422. I don't know what that tells you, but that's just the way it is. Things are never gonna be the same. So there's a timer, but you don't get any points for solving quickly. If you want to do that, then you just play the Blitz button here on Chess Tempo, and you could play Give Up, play Best, penalty applies, yeah. So what you want to do is just train your calculation. I mean, it's a lot more easy to do this when there's fewer pieces on the board, and that's kind of a paradox I've seen, that sometimes when there's fewer pieces, the problems are harder than some problems with a lot of pieces. So it's not always it's not always easiest to have fewer pieces. There are some really hard endgame problems I've seen. Well, enough chit chat. What's going on here? There's a lone king, and there's a knight and a pawn. So this endgame is drawn, or is it lost, or is it won? Well, you can guess. I probably guessed it. If you're watching this video, you're probably pretty decent at endgames already, and you're just starving for content, chess content. So yeah, here on YouTube there are a lot of other video sites, but I'm using YouTube. This is going on YouTube. So yeah, we got a king, knight, and a pawn. So 3 is a crowd. What we want to do is get this white king up the board, or over here somewhere, and maybe not get it in here. I mean, I want to avoid that because I want to get my pawn up here. But how do I get the king away? I could use my king. I want to activate my king, and yeah, activate the king, push the other king back, and promote the pawn. That's kind of the plan. So we got a cup of coffee here. That's good. And we got a glass of water, and we got a bottle of water, and we got some orange juice. So in case we run out of steam, we could just chug a lot of orange juice. So yeah, I think we're set for a long session. What's a long session? For me, about 20 minutes. I can't really focus for any longer than that, because I have so poor chess technique, that I'm spending so much energy that it's just ridiculous. So yeah, knight d6 check, king c6, And I have to move the knight. That seems kind of like a waste. Okay, so what kind of moves do we not want to play? We don't want to play king d4, because then king takes b4 and it's a draw. So the pawn is obviously just extremely important. I can't win with just a knight, but I can win with just a pawn. So king b3 maybe? King b3, then either king... Okay, so that's just two moves. That's just two, what's it called? Variation tree. There are only two legal moves. And I can't think of another move that has fewer. I'm using kind of like an Occam's razor right now. So king king b3, and then king no. I'm reading the coordinates wrong. Of course. It's not king b3, it's king g6. Okay. So king g6 has only king h3 and king f3. And then I get my king to h5. I think I'm gonna play that. And now I save the knight by going king g4. I just have to preface this session by saying that my endgame technique is horrible, terrible, abysmal. So if you're really bothered by poor technique, I suggest you don't watch this video. And I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna go king g4. I can't see a reason to not go king g4. King g4, that's just really good because there are no really good moves for the king. King g4, and then the white king has to move away from my pawn. Or at least away from the promotion square. So the white king has to go either king d3, either d3 or d5, or e5, d3, d5, or e5. Yeah, I think so. And now I just have to escort the pawn to g1, and also gotta avoid losing my knight, because that's kind of unnecessary. I mean, the knight it's not the most important piece. I mean, I could sack the knight to get the pawn to promote by playing something like king f3. King f3, king takes f5, and then g4. But it seems unnecessary, doesn't it? Huh. Maybe I just have to play king f3. Did I force myself into a bad situation? Did I really do that? Or is this... Wow. I mean, moving the knight, but where do I move the knight? D3, G3, G3, E3, E6, E7. No, that doesn't seem right. And King G3, no, Knight G3. Wait, maybe I could go Knight G3. Knight G3 and then either King D4 or King D5. Knight G3 and King F4 later on. Knight G3 or Knight G3 and King F3 and then G4. G3, G5, G4. Okay, I'll play that. And now I go King F4. And the white king is still not getting closer to my pawn. Yeah. I think this looks good. And now the white king is just out of the game. And I can promote the pawn, get the queen, and checkmate. It sounds like a very easy thing to do. Simple plan. Are there any stalemates? Okay, yeah, you kind of have to watch out for stalemates. I mean, in this problem, stalemate is not a realistic probability, but you have to keep in mind that stalemate is always an option in these kind of endgames. So I'm just trying to train myself into thinking about all the possible variations, or all the threats, or all the traps, or whatever you want to call it. And then the queen, yeah. Alright. We'll get the first problem right. So, moving on. I mean, if you have seen any of my tactics videos, you're probably realizing right now that these kind of endgame problems have fewer attempts, because people don't really practice their endgames. And if you've played online chess, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, you probably, if you've played internet chess for some time, you've probably seen how people could lose a one endgame, or how they could stalemate the opponent, or make horrible blunders in the endgame because they don't have the technique. Which is, I mean, it's sad for them, but if you're winning, you probably don't care how you lost, but you should always care about how you... I'm sorry, you don't probably... If you won, you probably didn't care why you won, but you should care about how you won, why you won, and how you lost, why you lost, and try to avoid it in the future. Because if you're playing against people who have way worse endgame technique than you, you're really not getting punished for your mistakes, if you know what I'm talking about. So if you played against only opponents that had poor endgame technique, so that way you would never get punished for your mistakes in the endgame, you would probably not have the motivation to go and fix your endgame problems, or your endgame technique. You would improve your endgame technique as a result. So, I mean, you could play for a long time, for several years, before starting to take up endgame problems. I'm just being hypothetical. I'm not saying you specifically. I'm just talking about the general you. Or, yeah. Moving on. So this is one endgame for white. If you want to check out endgames that are not one, or endgames that are unclear, there are sites that have problems with those, like Chess24, and yeah, no, Chess24 has some endgame problems with unclear or drawn positions, which is also nice to check out, because unless I am incorrect, unless they have changed it, the chess tempo endgames are always winning for you when you play. There are no drawn endgames here. Maybe they're gonna change it in the future, or maybe they have changed it. Maybe the theory mode. This is the practice mode. Maybe the theory mode has drawn endgames. I'm unsure. But yeah, this one looks winning with the extra rook against the pawn against pawn plus rook. But how do you get this guy or girl? I mean, are there girls at the chessboard? Seems kind of mean to put girls into war. So yeah, this is the guy. This is the MVP. This is the commando. This is the guy who's gonna blow up the war factory. This is the guy who wins the war. So the most unlikely one is the one who does it. So yeah, maybe just get the rook in. Maybe get the rook or the king. This rook looks well placed, and this king looks badly placed, which makes me think that I should move the king first, because there's no need to move this rook. If I move the rook, then the king just goes back and forth here, and I'm just going back and forth. That's pointless. I don't see the point of that. So I want to move the king, and then 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 move something else. Move the king, move the king, move the king, move the king. But yeah, I think I'm gonna move the king. But king here or here? I'm not going here or here. I'm moving towards my pawn, of course. Obviously, have to move to the pawn. Escort the pawn. Make yeah, move the king towards the pawn. Try to get the black king away from the pawn, so that the rook can move up and take the black pawn. But I need to be sure that my pawn is safe. I don't want to lose the pawn, because if I lose the pawn, then it takes a longer time to checkmate, and then I don't get as many points as if I checkmate earlier. So the longer the problem goes, the fewer points you get. There's an optimal way of doing these types of problems. You probably saw the computer lines at the end of last problem. If you didn't see them, we'll talk about it after this problem. But yeah, speeding up. Let's go here. Let's go here. And now we have a problem. Or do we? I don't think we have a problem. We just go here. No. We go... yeah, we have to move the rook. Okay, yeah. Because if I move the rook, then king has to go back. Yeah, so I just go here now. And then we do the same thing. And now I can just cut the king off by playing rook d4. I gotta pay attention to those coordinates. So king, so that I get king b3. Now I just go here and here. No, wait. King c3 and then rook, threatening rook. Yeah. And now I could just play rook a4. And now I take the pawn. No. Of course not taking the pawn. Oh, that was me so bad. Okay, you probably understood why I'm being like ruffled right now. Because if you take the pawn, I mean, that's a big mistake, right? Have you seen it? Okay, you can pause the video and try to figure it out yourself. Why taking the pawn is terrible. So, okay. Assuming you paused, you probably found it. There's a checkmate in one. Rook a1. Yeah. So don't take the pawn. Then yeah, that's not good. So rook a1 mate, rook takes b6, mate in 2. Rook a6, and then here, yeah. So if you did that, you would get fewer points. So okay, enough talking. Yeah, you see the computer lines here. Yeah, cool. You're paying attention. That's nice. What's the comment? A mate with king and rook against king. Don't mind the pawns. You need not capture the enemy pawn, nor promote your own. Well, that's a good comment. Chess Tom. I guess this is a guy named Tom, and he plays chess. Maybe his name is Thomas. So yeah, moving on. Oh, it's this one. Oh, it's the one with the... what's it called? Yeah. The rook and the pawn and how to... yeah. Lucena, I think it's called. Let's have a sip of coffee. And let's have a mouthful of water. And ponder life. Or just not do that and maybe just solve chess problems. Seems a lot easier. Wow. We're going over 25 minutes. Which means I am about to make a record of concentration. Personal record. Yearly high of concentration. Annual high. Maybe. Okay. Maybe just push the pawn and then worry about the rook later. I think my rook is well placed right now. But there are some tricky moves with the rook. I mean, you have to get the rook up to the 5th or 4th rank to kind of meet up with the king. Because the king, as it is not well placed. Because it's blocking the pawn, and whenever it moves to the left or right, or depending on where you see the board, I mean, you could see the board from a different angle, and then left or right would be wrong. So let's just talk about the absolutes. The coordinates. If the king goes to f7 or h7, then obviously the rook is gonna check the king, and the king has to go back to g8. So what do we do? What do we do first? Do we go g7? I think we go g7, and then we go rook up to the 5th. Okay, maybe g7 and then rook h2. But then again, the king gets into the play through. Maybe I just keep the rook on e2 for now, and then after a while I get rook e5. Yeah, g7, and then g7, and then king f7. It's man. Yeah, not the best move. But now I go here. No, I can't go here. I already talked about that. But how about this? And in here. And then I go rook h7. No? No, now I go rook h6 check. And then I go here. And then I go king rook h7. Yeah. Alright. Man, these kind of problems are really hard. That was a tough problem. Maybe do one more problem. We're about 30 minutes in. But I'm keeping the concentration. I'm speaking a lot slower now than in the beginning, so things are not looking good. Or maybe I'm not talking as much because I'm actually focusing on chess, which kind of is the point of this. Okay, J. Patrick. In this position, the nuances aren't worth knowing. In other cases, they might be. Yeah. Let's do another. Aha. Okay, so this is one of those. This is one of those problems that look kind of easy, but if you're not paying attention, you're gonna get stalemate. Not get stalemate, but you're gonna stalemate the king, the other king, which is a kind of weird rule that if you are not have any legal moves, then you automatically draw. I mean, it's a strange rule, but I didn't make it. More coffee. Yeah, king h6. And then king g8. But yeah. That's kind of hard. King h6, king g8, and then g6. And now we just get the pawn to promote. Right. Okay. That was quick. Let's do another. Ah, it's almost the same as one of the last problems. Do I go g7 here? Maybe that messes up everything. g7. G7, but I could also play rook f8. G7. Okay. G7, rook h4. That's actually a good move. G7, and then rook h4. Rook h4 is a good move because now I can't move my king at all. But I do have rook e2 check. And then I can kind of get the king up the board, or not kind of, but I can. I'm so boring. I'm really boring. G7, rook h4, rook e2, king d8, king f7, rook f5, f4 check, king g6, rook g4 check, and if king h5, then rook takes g7. So rook g5, rook g4 check, king h6, rook h4 check, and the king is just silly. I'm not getting I'm not getting anywhere with that, I think. So, yeah. But I have to play. I'm gonna have to play King G. I have to play G6, G7 at some point. But is this the best point in time to do it? So yeah, I think I'll go G7. And now, not Rook F7 because of King E8, and it gets nowhere. Doesn't look like it gets anywhere. Yeah. Rook F7, King E8, Rook G8, Rook F8, King E7. So, I don't know. Is this the problem where I play Rook F5? Rook F5. But I can't stop Rook H4. Only way to stop Rook H4 is to play Rook H2. Rook H2. Rook H2, Rook G4, King H8, and then King F7. And then I play Rook E2 check. Rook E F2 check. I think that's it. Rook F2 takes one move longer. And now we promote. What was the move other than Rook F2? Rook H7. Oh yeah, because now you pin the... No, not the pin. But you're threatening to promote with check from both the Rook and the Queen. So, yeah, because... Okay, because now you're... Okay, so yeah, you're threatening. Now you're threatening to stop. You're threatening to promote with check from both the Queen and the Rook. Then Black cannot take the Queen. So you could promote with check from 2 pieces, and you can take the Rook. Okay. That's a lot of words. What do we need to do now? We'll just keep going. Why not? I'm gonna do one more, if you don't mind. Next problem. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. So, okay. I mean, this is the third edition of the Rook and Pawn Endgames. I guess what the reason I'm getting all these problems that look similar is because of my rating. Like, there has to be a lot of problems that are similar around the 1400s, which I'm in now. So I don't know how to explain it, but that's just the way it is. Things are never gonna be the same. Okay, so we're black. We got an extra pawn, and we want to promote the pawn. But promoting right away is terrible. So king, let's flip the board. Let's flip the board back. So king g2, rook g8, king h1, and then still the rook is on g8. But now, okay. So king g2, rook g8, king h1. Then where does the rook go? To g6? Well, that's kind of weird. g2 and then h1. And how does yeah, the rook has to stay at g8, or more specifically, it has to stay more correctly, it has to stay on the G file, I think. Oh, my mind is a lot slower now than in the beginning. So let's just fill up with some coffee. Yeah, I think I'll go here. No, that's not right. That's a draw. And then rook. Yeah, oh, right. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a draw. Okay. Rook e7. Yeah. Because now... Okay, I have to... What do I have to do? Rook g4. I mean, rook f4. Rook f4, and then how about king h3 and why doesn't white play rook? Oh yeah, because now you get this nice bridge. Okay, now I see. You see the bridge? You see this? They're all on the same file. And now the rook is not able to take the pawn, because it's blocked by the king and the rook. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. I think this problem needs to go into some kind of endgame collection. Okay, yeah. Rook f4 and not king g2 like I thought, because now there's now the rook has control. It has complete control, yeah. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, that's about it for now. We'll just wrap it up here. Call it a day. If you made it all the way through the video to the end, congratulations. You earned your stripes. You earned your points. So yeah. Thank you for watching and goodbye.